Go buy that one.
Well, Margaret, if you like, you can come in and reset that one.
Push it back. Okay, come here.
Yeah. All right, well.
You're
Make
on.
them feel bad about being late. So everyone when they come in, yeah. So that works. All right, we'll start with privilege and the floor. Does anyone here have something that is not on the agenda they'd like to talk about?
I
Martha?
think we're kind of together.
We're together.
All right, Martha?
Although we haven't conferred, but for 30 seconds.
Oh, hello. Are you with us?
Go ahead. Is this hiking trails?
Yes.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Oh!
We are right now.
Hi.
Sitting here. Last time I looked in the stairs.
I didn't look at it.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and start approving and looking at minutes. The first minutes we're gonna look at, these are, what is that, July?
18 July.
What?
18 July.
18 July, but here we have 9 July on that. Yes, and so forth. Let's look at, we're all here on the 18th, so let's look at those minutes and corrections. I've got a few.
So do I.
All right, on line 22.
And you gotta change planted.
Yeah, okay. All right, line 25. Where brighten our lives needs to be changed to something else. Maybe that brightened our lives.
Heat.
Mhm.
Where heat brightened our lives.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have anything else until line 76.
Okay, so 28. The M for all. Yeah, I just thought it should be had done for her, comma Tim, comma and his memo. Not herself. 37. $38, remove the A between B and non-denominational. Would be non-denominational. Let's see.
It's the whole New York Times question.
49. Bertie thanked the board for its time. We use American English. We don't speak like the Brits. 102, July.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
that's right.
Sorry.
One at 76.
76.
Thornton and
Sorry.
Thornton. So I just like.
Oh, yeah.
Thornton?
Yeah.
Can't.
All right.
102. E102.
Oh, I got one of them.
102, the July 4th event, fireworks, or I don't know what.
Yeah, fireworks.
Fireworks.
That's
Okay, next one I have is 134.
I've got 107.
107.
And expected, there's a new single-family home construction on Cascade Ridge Road and expected to begin soon on River Road. This doesn't flow right.
And another is expected.
Sure.
Something like that.
All right.
134. Dan exclaimed.
Yes, he.
I thought that was.
Did he exclaim? We could go there, or we could just say claimed. I'll leave it to the other two members of the board.
He wasn't here to exclaim.
No, no. People do exclaim, but I think claim, keep it neutral, right? One clear, I can't remember writing that. I'm at 155, anyone for that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, 136. Dan also comments that hiking is an activity. Oh, I'm sorry, forget it. I see what you did now. I'm 155, that's why I crossed it. The big issue is with the stonemason, and schedule may be an issue for, say, stonemasons, make it all agree.
Yeah.
But then you gotta go with his or her.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Additional stone masons.
Yeah. On that same line, both of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got anything before 160?
I don't know.
I believe it's marked on 160.
Yeah.
Is anyone, you got anything before 170?
I don't know, maybe else on it.
Okay, last one, I promise. 170, if obtaining a contractor is difficult, maybe a better word there than troublesome. It's always troublesome.
It is, always.
Always. Not necessarily difficult. That's all I have.
All right, motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, let's move to July 26th. So on our special thing, this should be August 8th on the agenda.
It should be.
August 9th, yeah, all right. But
I made that correction.
not very well.
We must have grabbed the wrong ones when we had that
Sorry,
other
I
batch and we,
didn't get that.
yeah, we did make copies of the other one.
Yeah. All right, on this one here, I had 2122. It was suggested asked by the board. That's nonsensical to me.
Just to be fast.
Okay, and then on 23,
No, I think it was not suggested, it was asked by the board as
Right.
to why the amount is so far off.
Oh, okay, so
we
suggested.
eliminate suggested.
Which line was that? I'm sorry, I didn't,
Eliminate the word suggested.
22.
on the August
It was
9th?
asked by the board why the amount is so far off the engineer's estimation.
Oh, okay, yep.
And do we want to include something in there we found later that this was not a line estimate, this was a guesstimate? There's something to qualify.
The engineer's
answer.
estimate was
Right, but-
not based on,
Yeah, but I don't think we put an answer into this paragraph, so we might want to insert something as to
Okay.
qualify why it wasn't as close.
let me work
Okay,
on that and we'll bring this set back to you.
okay, good. And then what I would think here is line 23,
Did we know
It
that
was-
on that day?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I think Jim talked about it that day.
I know we got to it in the core group.
Yeah,
The word this should be replaced by the on line 23. And on line 30, it's a town core group, not Q group. Anything else?
I wouldn't.
Okay. So we're gonna table the approval of the minutes of July 26th till they can be supplemented.
Yeah.
All right, that's why it didn't make sense, because I was doing the August 9th ones. I'm like, I'm not following, I'm just writing notes in the margin, but you guys do it.
I got them here.
Okay, no, that will make sense. I just look at the line numbers.
All right.
I didn't have anything on them.
Keep the meeting without.
Yeah, they were perfect. So I will make the motion to approve the minutes of August 9th meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. All right, we'll move on now to the financial review. I had one question.
Yes,
We spent $21,000 in capital outlays last month. Line, bottom line,
those were leases. So those capital outlays, that budgeted number of 49,000 are the leases for the police cruiser and what's the other vehicle? Tractor. And the final payments on those, and 25,000 for the rec, for improvements at the dock and purchase of the boats. So that's what that 49,000. They just hit. Yeah, they hit.
wait a second, you just. That, I just wondered what hit and why.
All three of the projects that are represented by that are finished.
Yeah. I think when we hit a big capital outlay, we should just have a footnote to that.
Okay.
So we know what it is. Because it tends to fall in other so dramatically.
Yep.
The month before.
Okay.
All right, anybody else on finances? Margaret? Okay, calendar review, September 5th.
Mhm.
Anyone not here? Okay, September 11th, anyone not here? All right, so we will work out, because this is a primary, do we have to
You do.
go with the same thing and see, maybe we'll work on all that stuff.
Supposedly we all have to be there or we can appoint somebody to
That's true.
sub for us. Or the
That's-
moderator can. If we don't.
No, it's up to you. I don't know what the moderator can do.
Moderator.
If the
I
moderator
was just reading
can, that's
my
fine.
tone this
There you
morning
go.
that arrived
Good.
in the mail.
There you go, all right.
If the
Oh,
selectmen do
that's
not,
what your
Right.
book that
On the
you
book I
gave me.
gave you today,
So you need to, that is actually yours.
I will take it
If
back
the,
and
Okay,
if the, I believe it says
give
if
it the
the
attention it
selectman
deserves.
doesn't appoint somebody that the moderator can.
Ken,
No, if it was for me, I'll take it.
we'll give it to you.
Actually, I'm not sure about the 11th right now. I think
Okay.
I'll know today or tomorrow.
Then that's not- what's the real election now? Okay, nothing. All right. All right, strategic planning session.
Any thoughts on getting together, because we need
Good
to
idea.
start working on the CIP.
What works for both of you? I'm fairly flexible.
I'm available most of September, so the very end.
Okay,
I'm still in flux in September, so let's just pick a date.
All right.
so you got, I can do anything except 12 and 13.
Pick a chair, but would be a good. Um,
Do we want to have a strategy meeting before a selectmen's meeting? Not all in one afternoon?
So you're talking about the 3rd or the 4th then? Or next week?
The 5th is too close for me,
Yeah.
but maybe
Oh,
the
then following
19th.
The same day?
Yeah.
The 19th is good.
But you were talking about having it on
Well,
site.
I mean, we can,
You want
yeah,
to do it also?
I'd like to try to do that just because it gets us out of being pulled away.
Yeah.
Lets us
Whatever you
focus
want to
on-
do. It is Yom Kippur, so I know a lot of the function rooms in town are booked. But,
Okay. I didn't have that on my calendar,
all right.
It's on mine.
so, either the 18th or 19th, perhaps? 18th, okay?
Either one,
Okay,
you want
So
to do
the
a
18th
morning
or
breakfast kind of thing?
yeah, we can do like a morning.
Yeah.
We'll try to find a function room
Yeah.
and do a morning,
I do have a morning thing on the 19th, so we're gonna do a morning thing.
be the 18th.
All
Okay,
right, so get back to
so
us.
I'll get back to you, so 9:18 in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking of doing is going out of order, because I'm seeing that the people are sitting here for the hiking trail project. And why don't we get right to that?
All right,
And we'll come back to our agenda later on.
Yep.
Stuff we need to do. So who's addressing us on that?
Huh?
Who is addressing us on
we'd like to
that?
talk about the trails.
Margaret Plant, 42 Cascade Ridge Road.
So we're here today to sort of review again, I know that the trails have come up to you folks a couple of times, but in the Conservation Commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about doing a natural resource inventory. And that will really sort of encompass, obviously, the trails and a lot of other things besides the wetlands. But in that discussion, the trails came up. Part of our mission is to make sure that the trails are in good shape and that we foster
Now, whose
hiking.
mission is this?
The Conservation Commission.
Is that under the tenets of the
Natural
conservation?
resources.
Okay.
So we began to talk about, some of the trails, particularly one that Martha will bring up that's been, and Margaret knows about, it's had a lot of erosion up on Cascade Ridge. And it was really Mark's suggestion, which I thought was a wonderful one, that we look at trying to bring all of the stakeholders together. Because that's what gets us sort of bogged down between the resort and the mountain, the town, the Forest Service, now the Conservation Commission. We all have sort of interests in the trails from different perspectives. And we don't seem to all come together to sort of talk about, what's the best thing for each trail. I know that Dan Newton is now looking at the trails with someone to sort of get a sense of what it's going to cost and where the money's going to come from. The good news about this one, and I think, it felt really right, was that this isn't going to cost any money. we're just gonna have to bring all these folks together, and I think Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, thought it was something that the selectmen would have to really support, or need to ask for, because I think it should be a town.
What are you asking
Well, I think a committee from the town's perspective,
to do what?
to review all the trails for safety, for,
Now, is this town-owned property or forest land?
it really doesn't matter. It matters that all these trails are used by residents, owners, guests, and we sit in a town where a lot of them leave from this venue to go and use those trails. So it doesn't make sense for the town to own a certain amount of trails where we take care of them, that's great. But if you go out on the trail and you're in the Forest Service land, then you're told, we'll call the Forest Service. And then the Forest Service might say, you need to call the mountain, they're in charge of that. So instead of having that happen, we could have people come to a committee that would be town sanctioned, not necessarily all owned by the town, that may meet here, could meet, I don't know all the logistics to it, but that would then bring these issues to the group, that would be sitting with each other, that might say, oh, well, that's my issue, that's my trail, that makes sense, let me go look at it, we'll get back to you with what's going on. Without that, the Cascade Trail, which I brought to Margaret probably 2 years ago when I was on it, we are just learning now it's owned privately. And for a long time, we thought it was Forest Service land, that WBAIA was in charge of it. We went with that perspective. And then we learned, no, this is a private piece of property. We have to go to the owners of the land. Now, that shouldn't take 2 years. And it took 2 years because we don't have a group coming together to sort of say, oh, I know that already, which I think
I think the mountain probably has an inventory of all of these things already. And they're dealing with cross-country trails, easements, and all of the maintenance issues.
And I thought the Waterville company
Yeah,
had
and the Waterville company would have the.
got an easement when they.
I guess I'm trying to determine whether the trail erosion, whose responsibility
Well,
it is. I guess that's my
See,
question.
that's a huge problem we have here, and it goes back to parking lots and everything else.
Right.
There are so many easements and cross easements, and there are easements that have been created with the trigger to the easement is maintenance to
Right.
maintain the easement. So we don't know, but I think what you're pathing on is a good idea and all of that. But I think a bunch of your mission can be accomplished fairly quickly by going and talking to the mountain and sitting with them to see what their inventory is. That will give you a good starting point on what they're acknowledging as theirs, what they can tell you is someone else's, who's been maintaining it and why they're not. And that would be just, that would get a lot of the work done. You can eliminate what you've got to find out about.
Right.
And then take it maybe to what the Forest Service is willing to let you do and not let you do.
I don't think, well, I mean.
Well, my question is this,
Yeah.
this 20-foot section that leaves Cascade Ridge Road and goes straight up and then crosses into the White Mountain National Forest. This 1 section is actually on a landowner's property, so it's actually owned. It is encompassed within a lot that is owned by an individual.
Owner?
It is
not the Waterville
It is not owned by Waterville Company.
Have you searched their deed for easements on it?
Well, the easements that we were told when
But did you read the deed?
I know, I haven't read the
Okay,
deed.
we can do that.
Okay. Well, so I'm just speaking in general. We
Yeah.
have trails that go wind through multiple people's properties, et cetera. And so my question is, who do you go to? Do you go to the landowner? Do you go to WBAA, who supposedly maintains this trail? Do you go to the town because it's like, it's got a hydrant there and it's got 10 feet that are on the water on the edge? Do you go to the owner? I mean, there's multiple people involved, so I don't know how
I
to.
agree with you, and I think
fix
your inventory makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to say that your first step in the inventory is going to the mountain and see what they have as an acknowledged inventory.
But that's a separate issue. I mean,
I thought that was the issue.
No, the issue we're really
talking. To get an inventory.
but the inventory can happen, and that will happen separate from this. What we're talking about is our trails need a concerted effort with all the stakeholders coming together with a committee that can be sanctioned by, if the town doesn't feel, to me, it makes sense that the town should sanction this committee And all these groups,
Sanctioning the committee is a no-brainer. We can sanction you, but what are you gonna do if it's someone's property? We have no right to tell an individual
No, we're
property
not
owner what to do. We have no right to tell a company what to do. You know, I don't know what you're trying to get at. I know you're trying to get as a concerted effort to get these things done. But I think you're on the right step as far as find out who owns it and then start talking to them.
see, I don't agree with you.
Well, then that's American work.
Absolutely. I think that what we've been missing a lot is that open communication with the Forest Service sitting with us, WVAIA sitting with the Conservation Commission, the town, the mountain, all at the same table to talk about these issues. Surely, if it's a private citizen's home and we
Right.
can't do anything
Chris,
about
I
it.
think I'm telling you the same thing, but I don't think we're going about it the same way. I think you have to, what you came in and you initially said was you want to identify who owns these places and take an inventory. Which
No,
I
no,
think
no.
is, did you hear that as the first step, taking an inventory?
No, we're in the
Or am I mishearing
process.
something?
No, I said at our meeting, we're talking about developing a natural resource inventory. Out of that discussion came the discussion of the trails. From that discussion came a discussion with Mark and the other people at the meeting about bringing everyone together to look at ways to make this a more positive experience for everyone to understand what we can do, what maybe we can't do, who can do it, who can't do it. It does not happen now, and that, forget about the inventory, that can come separate from this. This group coming together is a positive way for all of us to begin to know each other, to work with each other, and to get the trails in better shape than they are now.
This is very analogous, it seems to me, to the Historical Society. And luckily we have with us today the prime mover behind that society. I don't think, and full disclosure, I guess I'm one of the directors of that society. I don't think we started with a committee. We considered it, and please jump in, Reggie. But I think in the end we decided to make ourselves. We got Reggie, I should say. Reggie got, did the hard work getting the people together, and then at that we went back and forth deciding whether we should be a town sanctioned committee or whether we should be a nonprofit, and we ended up deciding on a nonprofit for a variety of reasons. So I think what you're looking for, I think it's a great idea because I think the trails are a great draw.
It's our best asset and our primary asset to move us into the future.
Is to have
Right.
somebody
there.
that is where all the stakeholders can discuss on a regular basis
Right.
trail-related issues. I think that's great.
Oh, I guess I'm trying to just put it more in a nutshell. I would like to get that fixed. That's my goal is to get that fixed.
Okay, now let's do this. Find out who owns it, what needs to get fixed, and we can come as a town and ask them to fix it and volunteer to help them to fix it. That's simple.
I understand. It was suggested to us that we come to you and say, we would like to get this fixed. There's probably 4 different entities involved. My goal was just to like email all of the people who I think might have interest in it and say, okay, this is what I'd like to get done. Who's going to help us pay to get it done?
Well, I think what it's going to cost them. I figure out.
Can I ask a question?
I just one little thing, inspired by Chris's donation to WVAIA to fix, what's the path that you put the planks on? I called Dan Newton and I said, Dan, we need to fix going up Cascade Path. What's that going to cost? And he apparently has Ryan Harvey working on how much this is going to cost.
Okay.
We didn't have any discussion about we didn't have any discussion about whose land it was on, that kind of thing. My assumption was always that there was an easement across that because I specifically remember when Cascade Ridge was put together, that part of the planning board said was there needs to be a cascade path that continues on regardless of what happens on that mountain.
Who actually has that easement? Isn't that the entity that should take?
The resort has insurance. The resort gives us, our association, a deed
But
showing
who
that they have.
actually requested and has the easement? Aren't they responsible for the upkeep?
I'm assuming it's the resort, but
See, that's
I don't know anything. That's the problem. I'm coming here as asking questions.
Either it's an appurtenant easement or there are a whole bunch of different
Types
easements.
of easement? Okay.
And that, relates to.
I wouldn't think the resort would have So for the.
No.
Or is it,
It's
or is
not-
it the
it's
White
not
Mountain
a
National Forest?
cross-country, it's not
No.
a cross-country path,
But they're also.
Yeah, kind of back to-
As part of the subdivision,
right?
there were easements granted on several lots in Cascade Ridge.
Right.
They were non-specific easements. Property owners have the right to move them around if they wanted to as they develop their lot. But they were required to
Maintain.
provide
Yeah.
an easement across their
But
property.
to maintain the easement as well? I mean, to maintain.
Well, see, that's
No,
what you don't know, but you have to read it to find
it's-
out.
It's
Right.
to allow people to cross.
Right.
If it's not,
It's called
it's-
restricted.
that's right, and it's not,
that's what I was
it's
getting at.
not.
Right,
Right.
but you don't know what the rest of
Right,
it
so
is.
the first step
It
ought to
doesn't,
be for
doesn't
that.
say who's paying for the other.
But that's just to find out.
But let's find
Okay.
out and let's
Yeah.
go to the people, it's simple, Dan came in with a plan. Dan said, I've got a plan, we said, we don't know what it is, how much it's gonna cost. He came back the next meeting and said, hey, I have this guy, he came, he said he would walk it, this is what it's gonna cost, and we gave him the money. It's the same kind of thing, this is how we function. Give us an idea and ask us for the money, and if we have the money easily available, and the idea makes sense, we'll come and help you.
Okay, so that's my question. Is it the selectmen who would say, okay, we're gonna spend the money to get this done, or do I
Yes.
have to go
Yeah.
to?
It is.
Okay, whatever's work,
You bring
whatever.
it, bring it to
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
Alright.
bring it
But
to me and it'll get on.
But
and
there's a
get-
larger issue here that I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
Chris and Ruth are trying to raise, and that is going forward, if we want to keep these trails, especially close to town and getting to these trails and all that kind of thing. And the Forest Service is basically saying, hey, we don't have any money.
That's right.
Right.
Somebody needs to be the point person or the point group that says, okay, you may not have any money right now, but we're concerned about this and we're gonna do something to keep an eye on it and to have something going forward. And I think that's all Chris is suggesting, is that it ought to be a group that is sanctioned by the town, because
I think we already have that. I think we have AIA, which
No.
is
No,
leading the
but-
trend.
no.
No, don't.
I
They're
disagree.
the only
No, I-
ones that have come in and asked for
Yeah,
anything.
no,
with
but,
this.
but here's the thing, I
I
think,
think you're reinventing the wheel and you
No.
put 9 spokes to it, so how
No,
effective is
I
a
to-
9-spoke
I
wheel
totally
gonna
dis-
be?
I respectfully totally disagree with you, because I think my experience with WVAI is they are a volunteer organization trying to do the best they can
Yeah.
with no budget, and their spirit is in the right place. We can't ask them to do things that they can't accomplish. The Forest Service has a relationship with one person on the WVIA very well. We need to broaden that. We need to have more good relationship with the Forest Service. The mountain sits maybe with WVAIA, I don't know. I mean, but there's nothing negative in my mind that would come out of having us all sit together and come up with plans for things, or just to be communicating.
Right.
And whether that is spearheaded by, one individual, as you suggest, the Historical Society was spearheaded by one person and then pulled other people together, so be it. I mean, that's fine. It can be, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to bring the group together as part of the Conservation Commission. I just think it's worth a try to bring us all together. If indeed what you're saying is true, which I think it is, that the trails are our future and it's going to keep this town really moving forward, then we should do everything we can to be as innovative and progressive in that area that we can be.
I think the only difference, a big difference between this group that we're talking about with trails and the Historical Society is the trail system involves commercial entities. It involves real impact on the businesses in town, real impact on property values, anything else. I think that you can, in the Historical Society situation, it was a nice, not that it's not important and Reggie didn't do a great job, but it's a nice to do thing where the trails are really a key component in so many different ways. And I know the list of 9 people looks daunting, or 9 organizations looks daunting, but I really think those are the stakeholders, and we have a very disjointed approach to the trails right now. And all we're asking to do say we would like to put together a group that reviews trail issues, that makes recommendations so that you don't have at budget time 3 or 4 different people approaching. Let's get one cohesive group together that comes to you with a coherent plan so that people aren't asking for money to do the same thing or asking to take care of the same trails, because that's not coordinated right now.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying, why don't we do this under the auspices of the AIA or the Historical Society? I don't think we need a new organization. I think we could have a sub-organization, because we have too many organizations that are not all functioning.
It's not an
very well.
organization, we're not suggesting an organization.
You're suggesting.
No,
To
this
me, you're
is
saying you're
not
gonna
an
take,
organization.
you're,
This
you're
is,
saying you're gonna take over the contact between all of these people.
no, I'm
and
not,
spearheads.
listen, I put that out there as an idea. It doesn't, I think frankly, it belongs with the town. And
Well, if it
Well, that's what I'm
belongs,
trying
if
to say.
it
The town
belongs with the
supports
town,
AIA and the
then
historical.
the obvious organization of the town that this sort of
Or the
effort
rec
would be would
The
be the recreation
WVAA
department.
is stretched
Exactly.
there from what
No,
I've
no,
seen.
I'm
I mean,
talking
I've
the
seen
rec,
them at
it
the,
should be
they're
the
all the way
rec
down in Welch
department, if
Dickey
the
and
town is
whatnot.
gonna
I
get
mean,
involved,
we need
the
to-
recreation department. That
That's
should
a
be
very good
something.
idea.
Or even, I mean, the resort, they're the ones sending, bikers
No,
up
no,
the lift
well,
and they're coming down all these
The
trails
resort
and
has kind of
whatnot, and they're
mentioned
making
to us
money.
it's not a priority.
I'm sorry,
The resort has said, the resort association has said this is not a priority
for them?
Yes, so I like the idea of the recreation department, if that's something Brooke wants to spearhead.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Because you would be the place, you're the one selling the White Mountain stickers and everything else, you're the center of disseminating information for this. You could give an accurate feedback as to how it comes through the town, because your people are on the floor, on the street every day. And that's a great idea, Rich, thanks. Margaret, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how stretched thin Brooke is, as
Yeah.
much as she is interested in.
But it's also.
in this.
I was
But
thinking
I
we have
think it's
something
the
to
right
think about,
place
not
for
necessarily
it.
something to do right now.
Okay.
But we're talking about, we're adding your part-time person, I believe so strongly that this is our future, that I don't mind going to the people of the town and getting money to support this. And
Right.
support staff people to do this and have this done in a very professional and organized way, where it's done right.
Exactly. As a town function, and
Yeah.
it'll get to the point that you've raised in the past about disconnect between the PATs that are in town
Right.
with the larger PATs out there. The signage doesn't work anymore, and it would be great if we had a.
And this is something the
Town
town would
entity.
hold accountability immediately.
On its stuff.
In that, dude, I mean, once we all get ourselves organized, I mean, I don't know, I personally don't know the relationship between the town and the resort, whether it's good or bad or whatever. Regardless, the resort makes money off of sending people up in the mountain and on their bicycles and sending them down, and I'm
Yeah,
looking at
but
all,
they
we
don't
have
make money
multiple
on people
different.
hiking the mountains from going to the other places here, and they've made it clear that that's an opinion they share. And I think we are gonna make money on having people come here and make this as their hub. That's why I'm so insistent on getting the signage together out of the valley. You all know it, you all live here, you find that person on the corner of the road with a map upside down, wondering where the hell they are.
Mhm.
And it's a circle.
Yeah,
So
all the maps have different
Yeah.
trails and dots and lines and colors and.
So if I could just sort of, clarify this. So then the rec department, Brooke, the director of the rec department, would be in charge of bringing all these stakeholders together, would meet with them regularly, would come up with plans that would be presented to you all. And, anyone that had an issue could bring it to this.
That's right.
That sounds great.
After we, the town, get our act together.
Yeah.
As far as the trails go, what we want, what we need.
Yeah.
Yes, then we branch out to others.
And remember, mention this to people, because at town meeting, you don't want people surprised saying, I'm not voting for this, what does it do for me?
This doesn't cost anything.
No, it's going to eventually.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
Maintain
yes.
trails.
We'll
Yeah.
put together a plan and we'll attach a dollar number to it. And
Right.
we'll-
Perfect.
Well, I sprung this on Brooke without talking to her about it, so I don't know if we want to absolutely decide, we want to discuss it among ourselves, or.
We will have a discussion as part of
This is what we
the
want.
strategic planning.
Okay, perfect,
I
that's
mean, the
what we
other
should
thing
do.
you should know is the Race Center is really looking into doing a serious hiking program different than the WVAIA, because they only allow their members to go out, and we're going to look at doing hiking that's guided with beginner, medium, an expert hiking guide. So that shouldn't
Well, I-
interfere with the membership.
But I think we need to come together and make this seamless for the guests. We don't want the guests to have, oh, do I want to go this? They want to go, hey, I'm coming to Waterloo Valley, I want to hike. I call this number, what hikes do you have to offer today? Well, we don't want to go, well, if you're a member, you can do this one. If you're not a member, this one. We want to make this place accessible to everyone.
Right.
At all levels.
And that'll be
as
part of
easily as
what the
possible.
group coordinates, so that we don't have 5 different organizations doing hikes. So that'll be part of the conversation.
Wonderful.
But I would ask that we do that in a coordinated manner. If we're gonna be doing it through the rec, let's just wait and let's do
Absolutely.
it together.
We just want this to happen. We're not looking at.
Good, perfect.
Well, let's
Okay.
have the discussion, at the strategic meeting. Perfect,
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, were you here for that, or are you waiting for something else?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening and, okay.
Taking names and notes, are you?
Yes.
All right, so
There's an election coming up, and he's gonna have.
all right, we're gonna move on. Let's go to department head updates. Brooke?
We are in our second to last week of camp, and
Wow.
it's a very big week this week. Everything has been going really well. The school is doing their playground construction renovation, and that starts on Monday. Not sure if you're aware of that. They're expecting it to be done in a week, so we'll see how that goes.
What kind of renovation are they doing? Anything
Well,
major?
they're taking the existing playground things,
The Flintstones?
yeah, they're putting that on the back side of the school, and they're
Over by
gonna,
the generator backside in that corner, or?
Not
Just-
that far over.
no,
Oh, okay.
It'll
Yeah,
be
just-
towards the
just-
gym.
adjacent to the
Oh,
gym,
okay.
that little piece that we were looking at with. And then they're going to be putting a pickleball court or two, and I think a half-court basketball,
Where
So-
there's
a couple of things. Most of, I think, the work and the money is coming from trying to make it put a pad down and deal with the drainage issue that they have there. And I think Andrews is doing the work. The school is changing their PE schedule, okay? And I'm bringing this up because it is going to affect our traditional pickleball schedule. They're changing their PE to be Wednesday and Thursday afternoons, which is gonna take the pickleball session on Thursdays away. So I already talked to Gail and I told her, I said, I'll support whatever you choose to do, but that is something that people are gonna miss. So she was fully aware of that, but they're gonna go ahead and pick that schedule.
So can you just pick an alternate day for the Thursday?
Well, they're used to playing 7 days a week. So in the past, they've just had to basically give up Wednesdays and have Wednesdays be a little bit later, which was fine because we could just sacrifice one after school period from 3 to 5 p.m. for pickleball. So this will just, I don't know if we'll be able to do that twice a week, and they're not really interested in playing in the morning generally. So what we're gonna do, I think, is put a learn to play pickleball in the morning on Thursday morning to fill that in. But I'm just saying you may hear something about that.
Probably. We will.
Yeah, we could add an day.
I second that.
And have you said pre-sign up for after-school programs and all that?
We have, so the way after-school program is working, we traditionally start a little bit later because we're trying to wrap up our summer situation, get reorganized, get ready for fall foliage race. There's a lot of planning that goes on in September for us. But what's happening is the Shakespeare in the Valley is going to be hosting camp after school program the first week of school. So that's in 2 weeks. And then after that, there's 2.5 weeks where the Ray Center is interested in possibly running an after school program. And then we'll pick it up on the 24th of September. So it sounds like there's gonna be more options for the families that really rely on the after school care. Labor Day weekend activities are planned. We're doing that. We're trying to keep the boats open for as many days as possible. Once we in New Hampshire go back to school, but people in Massachusetts are still here. Traditionally, we've been closed that week for boats, and we get a lot of calls of people wanting to be open. So we are able to be open 3 of the days that week. And just fall foliage race planning and saying goodbye to staff. Did a good summer.
Barbecue.
Oh, thank you. We have our all camp barbecue on Friday. Even though it's not our very last week of camp, it's the last big week of camp. So everyone's invited to that 12 o'clock in front of the school. And the talent show, 3-hour talent show if you're interested in that.
Mike, it's
Too late to
right
sign
up your,
up?
right up your
No.
alley. You would love
I can do my tribute to Lenny Bruce for that.
it. No.
A lot more is going on, but unless you have specific questions, that's all I have.
Thank you. Jim, what's going on with you?
Well, mostly just usual stuff. We did attack the hydrant situation on the Windsor Hill. We fixed the gate box so that we have access to the valve. But we find that we have a small problem in the hydrant, so parts are on order, so we should have that fixed as soon as the parts are in. We did have a no. We did have a new pump in stock, and we were able to swap out that day and pulled the other pumps, put the new one in. He's back up and running.
That's got an arm on it, one field, right?
Yes. Yep. And
Was theirs in their septic system? Was theirs in there?
no, they were one of the ones that was required to have the E1
Yeah,
because they were in the 400-foot radius.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so they're not in the septic system, but it's very similar. It's just smaller capacity.
Right.
So
And they're right next to the Sullivans,
The
who also
Sullivans.
had a problem.
that's right. And so we,
Was it the
that's
same
how,
failure on both
Mhm.
pumps?
what's that?
Was it the same failure on both pumps?
I don't know yet because they have not diagnosed the problem.
Okay.
The pump was picked up today and was shipped back to the company that sold them to us. They will call me when they take that apart. So I'd like to get that pump fixed and get it back so that we can put it back into stock. So we have an extra pump. Other than that, the sign project. Tentative schedule is the first thing that has to, of course, is tree clearing. And so the limits of the tree clearing have been marked, so hopefully we can get out there and you guys can take a look at it, because I don't want anybody to go, oh my God, what happened? You know, where'd all the trees go? It's not that it's a huge job, but it's just gonna look a lot different. And the plan is, Top Knot should be in anytime between now and Labor Day. We just don't have a firm date because they will come here. It's a one-day job. They'll come here if they get a cancellation or kind of a crappy day where they can't do another job.
So we wanted to take you out on site.
Yeah.
Right.
How close have been from those down? You know, that's one of the concerns I have that in that interim time, that it looks.
They're gonna grub it right away.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He's
So
gonna
that,
grub
that,
Great.
to continue on with the schedule, Dana White should be in right after Labor Day to grub it, loam it, and seed it.
Yeah.
Concrete for the sign itself, for the base of the sign, is tentatively scheduled for the 10th. So Dana should be here right after Labor Day and get going, and hopefully we can get that hydro seeded, and so looking nice, or it doesn't look, you know, barren and
Yeah.
bare for more than 2 weeks.
Is that hydro seed going to catch that late?
Yes. Yeah, it's good stuff. So that's the news on that, but hopefully you have time to go out and take a look, because I don't want you to get blindsided if Top Knot shows up tomorrow and starts cutting.
So if Top Knot is, I had spoken to Mark earlier today, I had a request for someone to clean up the debris around there.
Mhm.
Because it wasn't good coming to town. But if they're going to get here in the next day or so.
Well,
I guess
we
you can
don't
clean up
know.
anyway,
Yeah.
take the guys over.
oh, yeah, we specifically laid it that way so that all they had to do was grab it and feed it through their jet.
Yeah.
Because most of that, most everything that's gonna be cut in there is gonna be cut through the jet.
Good, so that takes care of the town entrance projects on our agenda.
We have everything finalized. There is one decision for you. I'd just like to vote. There's been a proposal to change the sign to say, "Welcome to Waterville Valley," instead of "Town of." So if there is a preference, the town core working group recommends that it say "Welcome to" instead of "Town
I think
of."
welcome to.
That's what they're recommending.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, do we need a vote on that?
No, that's fine. If you're all.
Okay, good. And while we've got Jim Corcoran's down, looks like we're 100% submitted.
To the best of my knowledge, we are,
And
yes.
we should be able to get that approval by Monday.
Okay. Now, do we
on
have
the
any
100%.
significant budget changes to this 100% approval?
No, we showed you a budget in July, and that budget has not changed.
Okay.
So we will be putting it out to bid by the week of August 27th. And we're still on schedule to have the bids back and a recommendation to you by the last week of September.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Well, better not be hopefully, it better be happen.
Well, let's hope it happens at our price.
Well,
The concern I'm
see.
having is splitting the project.
Yeah.
So they're going to affect the budget. So we will see. Yep. Anything else, Jim?
No, I think that's it. Unless you're-
Everybody happy and healthy on the staff?
So, yep, everybody is.
Chris, how are you?
Hello. I guess I'm
You're right.
everybody's happy and healthy on our staff. I'm sure Brooke updated you on National Night Out. Tremendous success. It was
And it's here next year.
Well, we're going to talk about that because it was such a success down at
Okay.
Denny's.
More centrally located and just.
Yeah, nothing's going to change though. We're open to keeping it down there, I guess. I'm not one of the leaders of that. Brooke is, but, we had a great turnout. It was actually the biggest gathering of local people that I've ever seen.
And with that thunder and lightning too, it's.
Yeah.
I
it's
thought it
amazing.
would have been canceled.
Yeah, no,
They
it was,
canceled by golf.
it ended around 5:30. The event started at 5. The storm ended at 5:30. It was just fabulous.
There were probably, what, 200-300?
At least.
I didn't get the final count, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Everyone had a great time. There's pictures out there. That was
It
fun.
was in the American Times.
Yeah,
was?
it was a great article.
I should have bought it yesterday.
Okay.
I should have bought it.
And this was the planning starting in May versus planning for it, the whole year. It was kind of a late start. So I think it's a great thing for this event in the future.
Working on just doing some homework on the ladder truck project.
We heard the deal that was too good to be true was too good to be true.
Oh, yeah. It was worth looking at, but it was
Close
way
that
too good.
But do you think from your research that we're more realistic in the 4 to 5 range now? Or is there going to be a major?
It's doing this.
Yeah.
But I have some. I just actually came out of a meeting with some people that we've marked on. Tomorrow probably. So other than that, we're working on just some succession planning in public safety. We've got a good handle on that.
We never really discussed it because it becomes old hat.
Well, that's something that we're going to plan something for this fall. And when Dave gets back from vacation, we're going to probably jump right into that. But because we've done so much this year and it's getting so late, we may only do 3 or 4 sessions instead of 5 or 6 sessions. But it is definitely on our on our plan to do this fall.
Any other questions for anybody? Well, thank you, all you guys. I see people sitting in the back row. Have you got anything for us, or just kind of visit?
No, I just said, I have a question about the sign.
Sure.
The rumor has it that it's costing a whole bunch more than what we voted on. Is there anything to that?
The actual sign is not costing significantly more than we had planned. The road work came in at ridiculously more than we had planned.
So the sign, this is the sign?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's still this sign?
Yes.
And then rocks and all?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, if we couldn't have done the sign the way it was presented to the town, within close to the budget for the sign part of the project, we would have abandoned the whole project. The problem that we had, and we discussed this in going over the minutes, was the spec sheet and work we had was not based on solid estimates. It was based on guesstimates through engineering. We weren't aware of that. It wasn't a lot, because of the time constraint put on the engineer and the amount of money the engineer wanted for a full line item estimate, that it wasn't presented to us, and we didn't know fully that that's what we were working on. So what we've done is we've decided to put the money aside we would have put on the road and hold that for next year and resubmit that with some amendments to it to see if we want to go ahead with the road work budget. But one of the things that we've insisted on is that the sign and the area around the sign will be something we can be proud of. We are not going to skimp on that because we didn't have the money to do the project.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. All right, now let's get to the real exciting things. We'll review and sign the MS 434.
Yep. And actually, you will not have to actually sign it tonight. We have submitted this to DRA as it is, and they have not gotten back to us yet as far as releasing it so that you can sign it.
Is that the same with the MS1?
Yes, the same thing with the MS1.
So all three will be tabled to next week?
No, the two out of the three, the PA16 is here and you can sign it.
Forest reimbursement.
Yes. So the 434, we've updated. This one. The 434, as we've updated, we've gone through with the department heads, their revenue estimates from now to the end of the year.
Right.
And we've updated the revenues for each department.
And how does that look? Is that up or down?
It is, the total amount is down by 13,000 from what we were spread out throughout the budget. I think there were not any single lines that were more than 2,000 or 3,000 out of variance. So it was an accumulation of all of those. However, there was one source of revenue that we did not consider, and that was the $10,000 that's left over from the FEMA unexpected grant monies. If you remember, we gave a portion of that back to the resort for monies they had paid.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So there's still almost $11,000, 10,000.
It's 10,927.
27.
All right, so we're actually 24,000 off.
No, we're the other way. We're only
The other
2,400. It's the other way. This is money we haven't put in here.
Oh, so
So it hasn't been included yet.
Okay.
And the reason for that is you guys have the flexibility to put that money towards a specific project. You can accept money, unanticipated monies, and designate it for something. If you don't, it'll just go into basically miscellaneous revenue, and we can increase this estimate on the 434 by the 10,935. Or you can take that money and you can put it in the road repair account or some other place within the budget.
Didn't we
And
put it in
use
the undesignated fund balance? Is that where it is now?
Right
That's
now,
where-
it's
that's
just
where
in
we-
general
yeah.
fund. Right now, it's just in general fund, but we did not put it in this form.
Right,
So,
which is why it doesn't show up on this.
That's
form.
right.
It's just sitting.
that's right, it's just sitting there for right now. So, I guess the question is, do you want to designate it for a purpose, or do you want to put it in here as a non-tax revenue? And
I would rather wait until it's tax setting
Yeah.
time and see where we're sitting and.
Because we could take some of this for trails, we could take some of this for
Yeah,
roads.
there's a whole bunch of
Not
reasons.
designated.
okay, so we're leaving it out for right now.
Yeah.
And we'll just not report it on the 434.
Yeah.
When we see what the tax rate impact's gonna be, we can make a decision. Okay.
Just for those in the audience who are not aware of what we're talking about, when we repaired the bridge down here after Hurricane Irene, we actually.
We got money
We
from
got
FEMA.
money from the feds, okay? And they performed an audit many
this
years
year.
later,
That's right.
okay? That resulted in them discovering that they hadn't given us
Underpaid.
enough money. So when they gave us the money, when we actually got the money, we had an arrangement with the mountain where we were splitting things 50-50 on this. And so we gave the mountain their portion. Is look at what we said at town meeting and see how close we can get to that by using some money from the undesignated fund balance.
So if you're all right with the other numbers that are on
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
for the 434, we will, as soon as we get the okay from DRA, we'll call you and have you come in and sign it.
Okay, and this is the.
The MS1?
Yeah.
Yeah, the MS1 is the town total valuation form. Every year, we take the property values for every property in town, and there is this form that we have to completely submit to the state. That is, they use for tax rate setting purposes. So this is the report that we submit by September 1 each year.
This number also used for wind and wheels tax.
This, it is part of that formula. It is part of the school education, school funding formulas. It's used for many different purposes in determining where we fall as a town
Right.
compared to the others' total valuation.
Anyone care to guess what the total valuation of the town is?
Counting the beans in the jar. It's
$330,155,000 and 25 cents.
don't forget the 20. 330 million. So that compares to last year, but it's an increase of about $772,000 in total valuation. That's a result of new construction and building permits. That's about 0.25%, slightly less than 0.25% of an increase from last year.
Let's move on to PA 16, which talks about the forest land in town.
Every year you have to fill out this form and submit it. We have a total of 40,779 acres in town. That total value for that 40,000 plus is $30,114,000. So this is the report. If you vote to sign it and sign it on the lines above the date, that would be great.
Well, do we have a motion to sign the PA 16 report?
I see.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? All right. Board concerns and directives?
I just had a question a few meetings ago.
Mhm.
New Hampshire was talking about drought concerns.
Yes.
Are they still concerned about drought?
We have not received anything notifying us that we're out of the concern, but yes, it has been raining for 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm hoping that the drought
Well, I looked at
issues are
I looked at the
subsiding.
map that the state puts out, and you know, it has a range of
Yes.
conditions kind of thing. And like, part of the state is like 1 click above normal
Mhm.
in terms of drought.
Right,
So they're saying it's drier than usual
it is
conditions.
drier than
And of course, they have a list of all the communities that have put in mandatory and voluntary water. But,
yes.
I mean, I think it's different than what it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but they have not notified it. Have they notified you, Jim? They have not sent anything out to us via email yet that has changed. So.
Yes. The people that now have riverfront property in
Right.
Concord, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
so, no, we have not received anything official, but obviously, you know, we're probably, even with our expected rainfall, probably have made up some over the last couple of weeks.
Okay. Great, correspondence. We have one, well, we want to share this with the people out here, this form, the volunteer to serve your town form.
Sure.
The form is going to go to new residents, which are going to ask them to volunteer on any committees or anything, or share any expertise they have for them. Hopefully we'll get some response from that. I remember when I applied for my citizenship, Captain Morse said to me, "So, what are you going to volunteer for?" And it was conditional on getting the citizenship.
And here you are.
And here you are. So obviously you volunteered.
All right. We have letters from Aug.
Yes, you have a letter from Jean.
I think, as everyone read Jean's letter, I think we should send her a thank you for all of her help and her willingness to continue with helping us.
Is she still on?
Well, she told me that not permanently, but for the immediate future, she would continue to serve as an alternate until we could identify at least one alternate. Because if you make the appointment as I've recommended in your packet, then we won't have any alternates on the conservation.
But is she also still
Oh,
works
she's
with the
still
election thing,
still doing
right?
all of her election
Yeah.
stuff and all that.
Okay.
And serving on the ZBA as well.
All right, and I'll make the motion to appoint Martha Plant as a full-time member of the Conservation Commission.
No asking.
No
No asking.
I second the motion.
Well, wait a minute, it says you would want to do this.
Oh, no,
Am I wrong with
she does one.
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
that? I want to hear that from her. Is that all right with you, Martha?
Yeah.
You want your
But
citizenship.
I want my
Yes.
citizenship. Do I get an abatement on my?
Oh, you get a nice little pin.
Sweet.
All right, so let's continue that. I've made that motion, has been seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All good. And thank you for serving.
And thank you.
All right. Privilege of the floor number 2. Does anybody have anything?
Yeah, I just have a couple of other things here. You have Rob Burho's.
We have a letter.
No,
From Rob
And that was
Earl,
all
letting
for you.
everyone know about the house on Tea House Lane, which everyone has seen, the old Nalgrosh house behind the tea house. The pipes all burst in the house. There is mold up to your chest on the lower floor. We pulled the meter on the house and instructed the agents that it's not to be opened until some remediation is done because it's a hazard. And I don't know what we'll do further if they don't address it, but it really is a hazard.
and then the other two things are you had asked me to contact the ice arena. I got an email back
Oh, you did?
from Fred with some info. Oops, I'm sorry, it's a two-pager. So, if you give me that back, I got to find you back here. You're fine. So he's put some stuff down here. We don't have to talk about it now. We can bring it up at another meeting if you'd like.
Ice arena, and we had made a deal with the hockey academy with a very favorable lease to them, where they could maybe arena and they found it for $1. The arena was costing the town a considerable amount of money to maintain one and keep it going. So they've been doing quite a bit to do this, and it has helped our tax situation immensely by not having to pay for that arena. We've been concerned where the arena hasn't been open as much as it has in the future. Into the past, and we want to know what the future was. According to this, the future looks great so far, and we'll see what happens with it. But it's one of the things where we thought we needed to reach out to them and see what's going on.
I think they must have the ice in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Lexettes were in town.
Yeah, we had to wait, the summer camps had to wait for the last 2 weeks to get in there, so they definitely do have the ice. We were using it.
That's all I have.
Yep, we got that. Then we have a letter about an article someone copied us.
That's right.
Right, about how northern New Hampshire towns make a pledge to become age friendly. Well, they're looking for people to do things.
Well, no, this is just going along with the pedestrianization of our town. It's the same stuff that they are doing and doing it cooperatively between towns.
Anyone see the Globe today about the Shakespeare group in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where they're a group of retired people that are doing Shakespeare, and it takes them 2 years to do a production, but they're having a ball doing it. There's a really nice article about seniors doing things, just out of the box stuff. It was really, really a lot of fun. Maybe we could do that with our roving Shakespeare troupe of seniors. So. Where are you? I can't see you.
Can't hear you.
Mm-hmm. All right, anything else, Mark? All right, well, we'd like to thank everyone for coming. We're going to go into non-public session now. Does someone make a motion to go into non-public?
I move to go into non-public session.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Except for
Sorry. Yeah.
So when I saw him.
But actually, if you want to talk, just go through.
Oh, it's fine with me.
No, no.